church.
Does she not have personal appearances on the? Yeah, it's on the agenda. We just didn't identify.
You're the one who told me I was supposed to put it on there.
Yeah.
I forgot. I told you, Mark. I've had a.
Yeah.
Personal appearances, just.
You want them at the beginning?
That was the only question
Okay.
hanging around.
They have.
You said, yeah, I don't know if he was talking to Eddie.
John had called.
Got that check? You
John, we'll
want to
still
send
put
it
it-
to
we'll still
the
put it
trust
there.
fund?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll still put them there instead at the end.
Yeah. That way they don't have to sit
I'm
all
sorry,
day.
John.
It's all
That's
right.
fine, no problem.
Everybody's here. It's good. Be here?
Yes.
Okay.
So, first item, the work session, is Eric will address, it's an issue of whether to restrict parking on one side of St. Mary's. Eric, the floor is yours.
Yes, maybe some other locations. With Jour de Fête coming up, just kind of thinking about some of the daily tasks or the tasks that are associated with that. One of those is posting no parking signs, and in looking at the areas that we post no parking signs are probably areas that need to be designated no parking anyways, where we would not want people parking any time. So I was going to propose an ordinance to restrict parking on St. Mary's Road from 61 on the I guess it would be the east side of St. Mary's Road, from 61 probably to North Main, that would go around the bridge and keep people from parking on the one side of St. Mary's Road. That's where it always floods, and it's too narrow to park a car there and still have enough traffic from day to day. And then that would also extend to Seraphin from St. Mary's Road to Main Street, which would just be that bottom little block of Seraphin Street on the north side of the road. There's that, when you first turn on, there's that little rocky embankment that goes down to the gentleman's yard. And just, again, probably somewhere that we wouldn't necessarily want people parking anyways. And then 4th Street, and this was the question that I had, I guess, since the roadway itself is technically maintained by the state, but I would ask that from going the opposite direction now, going from north to south, from Gabourey to St. Joseph, and I think St. Joseph is where it actually splits off, and there's a little bit of a shoulder there, but from that point to Seraphin, be deemed no parking. Again, it's an area that wouldn't necessarily justify a car being parked there anytime, but it came to attention when doing my preparation for Jour de Fête and just some of the responsibilities that we have as far as driving stakes and then going back and picking them up. It would save a tremendous amount of manpower there and resources and effort on an already busy weekend.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody park on that side of St. Mary's.
I don't think, but in the day, I mean, some of this was designed back when Jour de Fête was huge and we'd have.
I'm not saying it's bad, I just don't see I don't know who would be inconvenienced by it, because nobody's parking there now.
No. And the only times it would come up would be Jour de Fête when there's, or the Rural Heritage Days where people, but in that instance, we've got the road blocked off anyways from any through traffic anyway, so that wouldn't necessarily be an issue, and that's something that we could certainly discuss the best method there, because they may park, or at least taxi there.
It's really for permanent no parking
I'm looking
signs.
for permanent no parking anytime signs.
I just don't like signs. And I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I don't like signs, and if we're only worried about it, if they're not doing it any time and we're not worried about it 364 days a year, 3 days a year, to put up permanent signs for the 2 days, I don't know, I don't like signs.
Yeah.
But
So the only time it becomes an issue is during
During the festivals that were down there.
those
yes.
festivals. But you can park on the other side, you just can't park on that ditch side. is what you're
Correct.
saying.
You could park on the residential side where
Right,
the
on
houses are,
residential side,
but not on the opposite side.
What's
I
the
don't
legal
think it's
requirement
gonna
on the
affect
sign?
anything.
Like if you put one at the beginning of St. Mary's Road, no parking on this side of the street, how long is that sign good for?
I'd have to research that. I don't know if there's, how far they need to be spaced, or
Yeah.
if you could just say no parking from here to corner, and that stretches 3 miles. You know, it's probably,
Well, I mean, I
I
don't
don't-
know if there was a.
yeah, I don't know what the requirement is. Dave would probably know that, better than I would, but I could certainly research that.
Well, I'm with Martin. I've never seen anybody park over there unless there was something going on.
The only thing you might is if there was a public auction down there, but that's,
Right, it might be something like that.
You know, it's freestanding signs, it just, the down negative is, you know, it makes it harder to maintain the right of way.
Right.
You gotta get out and weed whip around the sign.
Does the shuttle bus go down to Seraphim and then up over Seraphim and on Fourth
Yes,
Street?
it goes, if I remember correctly, it goes from the Marina Road down, drops people off there, turns around, either there at the intersection, goes back out that same way, or goes up to North Main and comes back down Seraphim, back out to Eric Scott is typically where they shuttle people from. So, again, it's really no skin either way, just looking at an effort to be a little bit more efficient. I hate to go a year and not post signs and then have it be an issue. You know, and I'm in the same boat with Martin. I understand that people don't typically park there, but it's usually the situation that you take for granted because it's never been an issue, that it becomes an issue.
who puts the signs up for the events? The street department?
No, police department.
You guys are a little bit busy right about that time anyway, aren't you?
I certainly don't want to complain. It's not, I mean, we've been doing it for years. It's certainly something that can be done. I'm just asking what the validity or if it should be done as frequently. I say, it's like he said, once a year. You know, but it's a full afternoon's work for two guys or one guy, and a longer afternoon work. Typically, myself and Jason will just take the truck and one drive, one throw out stakes and come back and put up the signs. It's just a lot of equipment that we use. We replace the stakes every couple of years, and it's a few $100. But again, overall picture, it's not the biggest concern for anybody, I'm sure. I just wanted some opinion from the people that would actually vote on it before I asked for an ordinance to be prepared. I don't
The
wanna wait.
downfall would be hanging a mower deck up on it.
Yeah.
Well, and
When
to
you
mow
get a
around.
brush hog,
Yeah, but you can't mow around 3 signs, for goodness sakes. I mean,
I consider them just like them stupid posts out there on the interstate with all them wires and cable barriers.
They get knocked down every week.
That's right.
Well,
And I don't know what the requirements are for putting them on. I mean, there's a power pole every
I don't think citizens or
few
whatever
feet.
allow
They won't allow
that.
signs on there.
Well, sometimes, but you gotta get their permission. I mean, they let us use a couple of their poles for those directional signs for tourism. But how many?
And really, the only area that would be an issue would be the Seraphim Street, or the St. Mary's Road. Because the majority of Seraphim Street that I would be asking for is all rocky terrain that nobody's weed eating around anyways. And there you go. It may be a non-issue, and we could wait and see if people park there, and if it needs to be an issue, or we could go ahead and drive the stakes and have the signage.
my opinion would let you guys keep driving the stakes for 2 days. I don't.
That's fine.
If it was any other issue other than just those things, I'd say, yeah, but they're not gonna park there anyway, again, all but 2 days of the year. I just assume not put signs up.
You never know till you ask.
Fair enough.
All right, thank you, guys and ladies.
That's all.
Okay. Eric, you can stick around for this if you want to.
Okay.
Every year, when it's time to go outside and enjoy your backyard, we have, it's not a big problem, but it's kind of a issue. Our open burning permit requires that you come in and get a permit. It isn't very specific as to kind of what constitutes open burning. Obviously, if you take a pile of yard grass, debris, and put it in your backyard and burn it, that's open. But we have people purchasing manufactured fire pits, and they don't have a top on them. I mean, they're in controlled burning in that respect, not a container. Just recently, we've had people digging pits and surrounding the area with material that won't burn, and putting lawn chairs around their burn pit. And we tell them you need as I read this, you need a burn permit to do that, which seems a little extreme. So the question tonight is, should we allow this burning, either in manufactured fireplaces that are open or in pits that people construct? And if you want to, without a permit, still limit what they burn, so you can't use it to burn construction debris or anything that would cause noxious fumes. But, or should we just kind of leave it as it is? But in the most recent instance, we got called out. It was just one neighbor snitching on another neighbor, and that they were fighting over other things as well. But the neighbor who called wasn't wrong. But there was burning in a pit that had been hand dug and had stones around it that technically would have required a burn permit.
So if you want to have like a campfire and toast s'mores in your backyard, you have to have a burn permit?
There's no provision that allows you to do that without a permit to burn.
How's a burn pit different than a barbecue pit?
It
I mean,
probably
it's-
wouldn't be burning construction debris when you're cooking a hamburger.
Well,
You wouldn't be burning it regardless.
Well, and there's,
Like my
once
neighbors
the,
have
once
a
the
burn-
charcoal burns down, it's not an open flame at that point, it's an ember. And I think the concern here, at one point it is, but
At face value, my first thought was, what? Why are we talking about this? After you've explained it, I think it's a very valid concern and something that needs to be a little tighter scrutinized, where there's a clearer regulation. For example, I have a little burn thing that's about that big around. I bought it at Lowe's, got a wire top on it, and I got some limbs that I cut up when they fall off the tree, and I burn them in that thing, put the top on it. There's one house on 4th Street, I haven't noticed them doing it this year, but last year, they kind of constructed a burn area, and they were burning skids while they were sitting around in their lawn chairs, full skids. There's a big difference between those two things. So if our ordinance delineated a pre-manufactured, a manufactured, what is that, fire pit, differently from someone burning skids.
Well, I think we can control the material that's burned. I mean, we already do that. I'm not, and I think yard waste is, or things, a certain size, and we can control that.
And whether or not it's being burned in an approved
I certainly can
structure.
can add language that says that it's okay to burn it in
It's got to have
manufactured
cover.
equipment.
Got to have cover on it. That would be the safety thing,
Maybe.
right?
Yeah, but something that's manufactured for that purpose, you ought to be able to use.
Sure.
And then I can do some research to determine standards for in-ground burn pits, depth, size, treatment of the surrounding area that other communities have adopted for inclusion in our ordinance, if it's the direction you think we should go. Otherwise, we'll just leave it the way it is.
Well, I'm just going to speak from my personal experience. I know that last summer, the skid burners, I mean, they would have quite a fire going in the middle of the summertime. And yeah, there would be a concern there that some of that could get away.
Well, skids are not yard waste.
Yeah,
It's pretty clear.
just no skid burning, that's all you gotta have.
And the guy that was burning material other than yard waste. But it wasn't, it was like cut up baseboard. I mean, it wasn't big stuff, but it wasn't yard waste. All right, so you think that's a direction you'd consider? I'll do the research, I'll draft revisions and
Yeah, I think
offer
we
them to
need
you.
to, I think we need to tighten it up, because people's asked me, and I said, yeah, you can burn those things, and it's,
There it goes out.
when he brought it up to me, this week when that happened, I was like, oh, I've been telling people, sure, they can do that.
Does a person have to get a permit if they have some type of burning pit, and they're burning like wood in there, like a campfire? So they would have to get a permit.
Technically today, yes, but
Yeah, and I think we need to change that, for sure.
Yeah. The
And
s'mores,
also,
the s'mores law.
Yeah.
like Tom
You guys
says,
can't make a s'more and then
yeah.
go to City Hall first.
it has to be kind of controlled too, and
Well, I don't think we get
next
away
to be
from,
burning a house down.
Requiring that you have a source of water.
Oh, yeah, that all
You know,
needs to be.
I think there's the common sense safety productions that are already in here. We're not going to do away with those. But I think we can better define some options that are not currently defined in here. Right now,
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
need
some
to
lady
change
came
that.
in, she had bought a burned barrel, the perforated sides and a screened lid, and, and it wasn't clear to her whether she needed a permit. And, I said, that's not open burning in my book, but the next day, I was called out to look at this other situation. And it was clear to me that the officer who cited them was correct, but not because it was a bad idea. They were doing something that was bad. It just didn't meet the test of the ordinance. Okay,
Hope the rest of the night goes this.
and finally,
Pretty easy work, right?
you voted to proceed with the purchase of, or the voter approval of purchasing a ladder truck. We have to craft ballot language and get it on your next meeting's agenda so that we can have the two readings and meet the filing deadline for the November election. I have prepared for you this sheet, which shows kind of the impact of our decision. We think the fire truck is a $650,000 purchase item, maybe a little less. And hopefully we will get help from some business and industry that will reduce the amount that we have to borrow, not that we have to spend. But we don't have time to wait for that to happen. And likewise, I don't know that we will have to go to the public securities market to get the money. There are banks willing to make equipment lease deals. The suppliers sometimes have programs, and if the rates are competitive, you'd rather do that, because when you go to issue bonds, and you add cost, and it's generally around 3%. So a $650,000 purchase, financed with bonds, cost you $670,000, and you capitalize the processing cost, those legal fees and bond underwriting expenses. So if you look at $670,000 at 4% for 10 years, the debt service is $81,401, straight amortization of that. I think the 4% is reasonable today. Maybe we can get it under 4%, but right now it looks like the public bond market for our level of debt is around 4%. The next is the data on what the assessed valuations are in the city for both real estate and personal property. The bonds, the increase in the general revenue tax will be applied to both real estate and personal property. So these valuations are the market value already lowered by the percentage that goes to the assessed value. So for instance, if you have a $100,000 house, you're taxed on 19% of that. So that reduction is already in these numbers. Then in order to kind of determine the tax rate, you divide that by 100 and times the tax rate and you get what your tax bill is. So I then calculated what general revenue total increase would need to be in order to cover the $81,000 annual debt service. And you can see the formula that was used there. And the result is that we would need a general revenue rate increase of 12.5 cents to cover the $81,401 debt service. Then I calculated what that increase would mean based on the individual average assessed value. The assessor gave me information on the averages. These are the totals. How many taxpayers are there? What does each taxpayer on average owe? And you see those figures. You see those figures there. So on the average individual, for both personal property and real estate, the cost is $24.49. On commercial, it's $110.60. Now the question before you tonight is that I want to craft the bond language so that it's broad enough to, if we get approval, to have those financing options. We don't, so I would like to ask the citizens to approve debt up to the $670,000, with the knowledge that we might not have to spend that much, and make the language broad enough so we don't have to issue bonds. That if we enter into a lease purchase agreement, that would have been approved by the voter. And then our options are open after the vote to pursue the best option, or the best path for the city. And finally, if we think bonds are a possibility, and it is possible, an attorney, other than the city attorney, a bond attorney needs to craft the ballot language. Because you don't want to put an item on the agenda, have language that is flawed relative to the bond market, and then have to redo it because you screwed up. And so I would need to ask whether I have to pay them, I don't know, we haven't gotten that far. Ask bond counsel to craft the language for us so we make sure we have language on the ballot that will be properly written to support a later bond issue if we have to do it. So did I totally overwhelm you with information?
It's going to cost the average citizen, this is the question that everybody's going to be asked, less than $25 a year tax increase.
Yes.
That's what we got to take away. When people ask us, it's going to cost less than $25 for the average person to help pay for the tax increase to pay for the fire truck. And you just want to write the language where it's wide open so you can finance it the best possible way.
I need to employ bond counsel, which...
How much that cost?
Well, I hope it's free. I'm hoping somebody will write the language for us and the expectation that if we do have a bond issue, they'll get the business. Yeah. But I can't guarantee that. Absent that, it's going to be $300 an hour. But it won't take long. It's a 1-hour task. So I don't really need, to pay the bond counsel, it's within our spending limit without specific board approval, but I wouldn't want to something related to this issue without you knowing everything. Okay?
So your numbers, the 17,000, you're saying is at the 19%. So if you divide that backwards, that's a $92,000,
Yes.
$92,000 assessed value or value.
Right.
And then on the commercial, it's 32%, isn't it?
39%.
32%.
32%.
So it's
And
200.
the personal is a third. So for personal, the average person owns $12,000 market value in personal property. Real estate's 19, commercial's 32.
So the commercial is somebody, or the average then is 237,000.
Yeah.
The average, okay. Okay.
Okay, I will, I've got a letter out to the bond attorney, and she's responded that she would be willing, and I said, don't do anything until I talk to you, because I want to talk to the board about it first, so, yes, sir.
So when you gonna check on the pledges?
Well, we have a couple already in the bank, and I don't know, I think we need to make personal visits to the ones we don't have.
So I will see one of them decaf next. Do you think we have to have that? Do you think that number, I guess I'm asking you as a board, do you think that number, if we go out and somebody says that they will give us $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, do you put this in the formula or don't you? I mean, do you take that money to the bank? I mean, in essence, do you say that?
We don't have, we're asking for approval kind of up to.
Up to, right.
Then we'll go have the work time between now and August, and if it gets approved, or between now and November, after November, to get the commitments, and we'll bring that number down. Obviously, the commitments are contingent on the vote.
Mhm.
Once the vote's taken, I guess we just ask them to make their contribution.
Right.
The other question, I think, that we should address is the rural fire tax. We're asking the citizens of the city to pay an increase. Should the same be asked of the citizens outside of the city who buy rural fire tax?
Absolutely.
And what amount would that be?
Somehow, based on the average increase, if there's, whatever the average increase, you've got an average number that people pay now, the average property and
Yes.
tax number, excuse me, on the property and real estate tax number. If the average increase is 14%, then rural fire tax should go up 14%. I mean, that's a pretty easy sell, that everybody's paying for this, and you have to.
Pam buys a rural fire tag, and I asked her today, she pays $50. I said, would you pay $100? She said, yeah. I said, would you pay $150? Yeah. Would you pay $500? And she hesitated.
Is this a trick question?
At some point, you know, you're gonna
Does
exhaust the elasticity of
Does the fire
demand.
department actually say, okay, you didn't pay your rural fire tag, we're just gonna let your house burn?
We talked
Well,
about
that
this
was
last
question.
meeting.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
They
no,
had
that's
the
okay.
option.
We're gonna have a work session with Nick about all that, I think, but they have the option.
But, you know, they're not,
But they don't.
we,
They don't.
That's what I'm.
the statute provides, and our ordinance provides us a way to charge that person for the service we provide.
Right.
And so, yes, they'll fight the fire, but that person's gonna get a pretty big bill too.
Well, I had a hazmat truck spill a few years ago in Kentucky, And I got a bill from 2 local fire departments, totaled $68,000.
Yeah.
I went down and made a donation to each fire department for $2,000, and we signed a little piece of paper, and everybody was happy.
You know, we don't have, when that person receives that bill, anything other than any other person would have. If the person doesn't pay their bill, we got to sue to collect, but we don't have any no connection to them governmentally.
If you've already covered that, that's good.
Okay, I could have had a half-hour work session. Anything anybody else wants to talk about?
When do they start the slurry seal? Next week?
No, 21st,
21st.
Monday, is that the 21st?
Yes.
So they're still backing up.
No, they're
from their
committed.
commitment.
They're
It was
backing up.
initially the 7th.
We are, yeah, I know, and then it was the 17th, and now it's the 21st.
I tell you what.
But they're committed because we're already contacting shop owners, and the plan is to do the cross streets and 4th Street on one day. They're going to do it in 2 days. And then the merchant market in Maine on the other day.
What are we going to do if they back up again?
Providing the weather, it might rain.
Yeah, you always got weather concerns.
Yeah,
Well,
at some point, we got to
I mean,
take some
we
kind
said,
of
look,
action.
we need some prep time for this, and is this the day? He said, that's the day. That's the day. I said, okay, we're going to start making arrangements. So we're making arrangements.
I could have swore they said that we were their priority, and that we would be number 1 on their list in the spring, when we had the discussion with them.
They just have separate lists for everybody,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah.
just number 1 on
Everybody's
each.
number one.
We're on the top of
All
that
the
list.
quality of the work, they've
Yeah.
had a lot of meetings like that.
They did say that, Teddy, but
Pardon me?
they did say that at that,
They did. They said they're gonna take care of us. We're gonna be number 1, they're gonna take care of us. So
Well,
is this only
I
the second
guess
time
maybe
you
though,
backed
at the
up,
same
or
time
is it
that
the
you're
third
saying
time?
that though, with the weather way it's been cool these nights, maybe we're better off that, and hopefully maybe on the week of July, not that you're gonna know it, it might be like this, but I think one of the issues was the cool nights that we had, so maybe it will be hotter than hell that week. We could
yeah, it's
hope.
supposed to be 70s next week there, day or two, up 79 for the high, so we should be into the hot time of the year, so
It's just a guess.
Climate change.
Okay,
Really?
work session over.
Serious.
I think it's
Work session on global warming.
Good evening. Roll call, please, Pam.
Mayor Grimminger?
Here.
Alderwoman Codwell?
Here.
Alderman Couch?
Here.
Alderman John Stupi?
Here.
Alderman Jokers? Alderman Donnie Stupi?
President,
Alderman Hook? Alderman Prince?
Here.
Alderman Ross?
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda with
Make a
revision.
motion to amend the agenda.
Okay.
second.
Bill 3979 needs to read that an ordinance approving the bid from Microcom. There's a typo and it says R.E. Dory and Company.
Okay.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I think we're down to personal appearances. Tonight, we have a number of members affiliated with the Hope Church, and I would like to recognize all of them that are here tonight and say thank you, certainly on behalf of the city, for cleaning up a issue that we had. You did a beautiful job down on 3rd Street, and we can't thank you enough. It was certainly a problem that we really didn't know how we were going to be able to take care of, and we really appreciate it, and you did an excellent job. It looks beautiful down there. So,
I had something made I'd like for
Okay.
you to give to him.
sure. Somebody, Paul, would you like to come up?
Brother Paul?
Make them all go up.
You know, John, it's not very nice. Plaque, and appreciation for the work that you did down there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I get?
Oh, wait, yeah, let.
Wait a minute.
I just want to appreciate,
State your name.
pardon me?
State your name.
Paul Hassler,
Brother
Brother Paul from Hope Church. I just want to say, on behalf of this group here is, you know, we want to do more of that. You know, we have a wonderful ministry in our church. We call it Celebrate Recovery. And what that is, it helps people with hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And we deal and help people with drug addiction, alcohol, anxiety, all kind of things. And for so long, and I would like for Jake to speak a little bit more of that, but as me as one of the associate pastors of the church, it gives us an opportunity to, you know, we've taken and been a burden to our community. Well, now it's time, once we've been delivered that, to give back, and that's what we want to do. And I envision it more than just with our little group, but I know there'll be more with people that are needing community service, and I know it's an issue. It's always been an issue with me when I got somebody to do community service, is supervision. We're raising up leaders here that would supervise people, yeah, and that's what we're wanting to do, and making sure that if there's a group of people out in the community doing something for the city, that it's going to be done well. And that's why we did it over there, and we did it well, because our names are on that in this group, and I'm very proud of them. And I'd like to give Jake a minute to speak, and just, again, thank you all for you had to have a little trust in us. I appreciate that, really do, because, you know, trust is a big thing, and that's what we have to do in our community, is build trust and rework and build relationships, because that's what this whole thing's all about. So,
Thank you, Paul,
Thank
for
you.
overseeing it.
My name is Jacob Kolnar. Next weekend, me and my will-be wife, then fiance now, will be taking over Celebrate Recovery. A little bit about Celebrate Recovery is we cover its hurts, habits, and hang-ups. It's from drug addiction, alcoholism, materialistic stuff, divorce, cancer, sexual abuse, stealing, just depression. I mean, pretty much anything you could think of we cover. It's biblical based. That's, I think, the main thing that helps everybody is to know who your higher power is, to know how you can help yourself, how you can fix yourself. For me, it changed my life. It changed it. I mean, literally a couple weeks, I was a completely different person. I praise God every day for what He's done for me, and I know He put me in Celebrate Recovery to not only help change people's lives, because He'll be the one doing it, but allow me to work, because I know this town. I've been in this town my entire life. I know plenty of people in this town that need help, that there could be a lot of big changes done. And I know He's put me in a certain place to do that. We're glad that we were able to clean up the house. We would love to do more of that. We have a lot of people that need community service, and there's also some of us that we like to do it. We like to do kingdom work. We like to allow God to get the praise, because He's the one doing it. We're just the hands and feet. The main thing for me is kind of just a little bit about me. I mean, of all the topics to celebrate recovery, I've been sexually abused, I've been depressed, I've been suicidal, drug addict, I had a problem with alcohol, I had a problem with stealing, I had a problem with people. I hated everybody, I hated myself, I hated my life. And I don't want anybody to be there, to feel unloved, to feel unwanted. That's not where you want to be. Through Celebrate Recovery, God has shown me that He loves me, that there is a lot better stuff out there. And no longer am I sad, depressed, addicted, hurt. Everything's changed. God broke my chains, He lifted me up and changed my life. And because of that, I feel honored to take over Celebrate Recovery and help change people's lives and help change this town. I know it'll be one step at a time, but I thank you guys for backing us and helping us out.
I'd like to introduce Petrie Powell. Announced in the paper that Petrie is filling the position we're now calling the Community Development Administrator. The reason for that is the position was formerly known as Planning and Zoning Administrator, but it did not cover the range of things that we expect a person in this position to do. Petrie comes with a great deal of experience and knowledge and energy, and I hope that and know that she'll be an asset to the community, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Well, I'm Petrie Powell, and I'm the new Community Development Administrator, and I will be calling you all for some projects, I think. I'm very excited to be here. St. Genevieve has always been near and dear to my heart. I've come down here many, many times, and I just have always had an affinity for it, and so I'm very excited to work for the city and to help it improve and do the things that you all have a vision for. So I'm very excited. If you have any questions about my background, I'd be happy to answer them. Okay. Well, thank you.
Martin?
Okay. I've been speaking to you about the process for the local public agency on the Parkwood Trail. We finally were able to send in a formal request for authorization to require white right-of-way. We have to get MoDOT's authorization before we can negotiate, and I hope that will be forthcoming soon. We were talking about health insurance renewals. We met with Layton on our renewal policy, and we really don't have any information back from them yet as to what they expect it to be, but hopefully it will be not as bad as it could, as you think it is. I mean, the early indications are the American Affordable Care Act is going to end up being somewhat beneficial to us. Everybody's turned in their budget, so we're going to be starting the internal review, staff review of the budgets next week, and then in anticipation of having hearings with you, with each of the department heads to go over the budget that we present. It's a time when people give you their wish list. We don't anticipate having more revenue next year than we had this year. We're going to have to just kind of hold our own for another year. But we've done pretty well this year. While we're over, as you know, on our public works budget and street materials, we've managed to stay well under in other areas, so our total picture relative to projected revenues and expenditures is pretty good. We just kind of ended up blowing the line item that caused that we needed to fight the snow and the damage that the snow and the cold did to our roads. We've been speaking to SEMO. At our last meeting, Alderman Stupi brought up the state's not really taking care of their right-of-way very well, and not SEMO, to MoDOT. We actually had the district engineer in here the day before yesterday. We talked about more regular maintenance. He says they're scheduled to mow their right-of-way twice a year. Maybe it's 3 times a year. Not enough, whatever it is. And I can't change their schedule, but we'll just keep putting pressure on them to get it done. After several conversations with a number of people, Mississippi Line gave me the name of a guy who's in charge of track maintenance. I called him, he didn't return my call. I called him again. I finally got hold of him, and he said, yes, I am the track maintenance guy, but UP has a public affairs person you have to talk to, and he's the one who'll tell me what I have to do. So he gave me the number of the public affairs person. I was able to communicate with him. I sent him an email about 10th Street and 4th Street, and he did not respond, but that's only been the day before yesterday. So hopefully I'll get a response from this guy, and maybe we can get some attention to the deteriorating ties and what appears to be this not settling here. It looks like that middle section of concrete on 4th Street has actually come up relative to the other sections. And maybe that's a result of freezing and getting, freezing moisture, raising it, and material getting under it. I don't know. But I hope that we can get some attention paid to that and get it fixed. We advertised on the property on Merchant that we now own. We don't think we have to declare it surplus because it was never kind of brought in as an asset, and so we don't have to go through that process. But we did need to make the public available, make it publicly known that interested parties can consider mitigating that public nuisance and receiving the benefit of the property after that. So I ran an ad. Responses are due next Wednesday, and depending on who shows up and who says they want to do something, we'll negotiate a timetable and we'll get that problem taken care of. We covered in the work session the fire truck proposal. For those who weren't watching the work session, in order to purchase the fire truck with the ladder truck, a general revenue rate increase of 12.5 cents would be necessary. And so I will be preparing with legal counsel a ballot language to propose to you for consideration at your next meeting.
Questions, anybody? Yes.
Martin, how much mosquito spray do we have left? Are we about out?
No, we've got enough to get through the season, but we will be out at the end of the year.
Anybody else? You might mention, or do you want to, about the streets, about 4th Street?
Okay, we also covered in the work session the Missouri Petroleum is scheduled to redo the microseal on Monday and Tuesday, the 21st and 22nd. We will be doing on Monday the cross streets, 2nd, 3rd, and then we'll do and 4th on the first day, and on the second day we will be doing Merchant Market and Main Street.
Okay. Any staff committee? Oh, no, we don't have any staff reports. Committee reports? Anybody? I mean, yes, John.
Your defense on track. They got 90-something vendors right now, and more coming in every day.
Good. That's great. Okay. I'm going to approving the minutes from June 26th.
I have a question.
Yes.
On page 3, the very last item, approval of a temporary liquor license for Terry Hoffman. Didn't we either table or deny that one, and then approve the one for the Classic Cruisers Car Club?
Okay, so,
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, isn't that?
isn't that what I say though? there was a motion to table with that one, and then on the next page, a
table
motion
the
to
approval, yeah.
approve the one for the classic cruisers.
Okay.
Is that not right?
So, but it says approval of a temporary liquor license? So
That was
even
the-
though it's
That was the
tabled?
item.
It's an agenda item.
Oh, I see.
That was the
Oh,
agenda
I'm
item.
sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry, I
easy
see.
to- the
Okay.
wording.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we got the closed session minutes of that same evening.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, resolution 2014-25, a resolution of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a property maintenance agreement with Robert R. Scott II.
He was just wanting it official. He's been taking care of it though, hasn't he? So he just,
Oh, yeah, he said the last few years.
Yeah, he basically came to me and said, I've been doing this, but it's just been on a verbal, and I agreed with him that we needed to memorialize the arrangement.
motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Resolution 2014-26, there is a resolution appointing Mary Beth Ferguson to the St. Genevieve Tourism Advisory Council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 2014-27, a resolution appointing Sarah Menard to the St. Genevieve Tourism Advisory Council.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, no old business, new, huh?
Yeah, the 2000, on your amended
Oh,
agenda.
I'm on the wrong agenda. Okay, I'm sorry, okay. Resolution 2014-28, a resolution appointing Linda Keith to the St. Genevieve Parks and Recreation Board.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we're into new business. Bill number 3979, first reading.
An ordinance approving a bid proposal from Microcom of Olathe, Kansas for the replacement of the SCADA system at the water plant in an amount not to exceed $94,900.
Steve, you want to, I don't know if any of the board members has any questions on what we're trying to accomplish there or replace? Or do you want to explain that a little bit?
This is a budgeted line item,
Yes,
and it's within the amount budgeted.
yes it is.
We currently have SCADA on all of those, it's just.
Yes, we currently have SCADA at all, at 5 locations. As you guys have seen in the reports in the past, this system that we currently have is deteriorating. Computer guys came in, they told us it's, at this point, beyond repair. This is the monitoring and automation for the water plant and the remote locations.
I knew it needed to, well, if I remember correctly, it needed to be replaced about 10 years ago. And I
Yes,
think
sir.
we've just kind of put it together with old computer parts or held it together.
Yes, we've made it work.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public comments, anyone? Sure. Randy?
Thank you, Mayor, Board. My name is Randy Rosica, 406 North 3rd Street. I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly thank Brother Paul Hassler and his people. I know you all did before, but as a person who lives 2 doors down from where they cleaned up, I can't begin to express how good it makes me feel to see that cleaned up, because that's been a problem for a long time. So thank you guys. Also like to thank Alderman John Stupi for being the liaison to get them connected with the city and get the permission part of it, ironed out. So, and I know I saw Donnie over there that day too, so thanks to both of those guys. In closing, I'd just like to add one thing. Having been one of the people who was unhappy with that situation there at 268 or 3rd, and I tried several times to get something done about it, and I was basically told, I know Martin said this, and back through Jimmy, that it was just considered a nuisance. I'd like the city to maybe reevaluate, the board to evaluate how you deal with problems like that. I mean, this, as you know, this wasn't just somebody that let their grass go for a couple of weeks. I mean, that looked like the Amazon forest over there, so, and I would say the most serious concern was the trash and garbage. Weeds, I can see that being considered a nuisance, but when you've got garbage bags piled up for months on end, I'm sorry, that's a health hazard. So I would just implore you all to figure out a way to maybe deal with something like that a little better. I realize the city is not responsible for hauling off people's garbage. We have ordinances on that, but maybe look at the way that is enforced a little better. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Yes.
Evening. My name is David Roth. I live at 171 South 2nd. And I want to talk about the fence that's on the bank, around the old bank building. And I want to thank, before I tell, I want to thank Beth Caldwell. They put the first one up, and I waited. I thought maybe they would change it, So I went and talked to her, and then we must have had a work session that night or something. About 2 days later, the gentleman came back and changed it, but it wasn't quite what. First it was steel, farm fence post and a rope through it. Well, then now it's white PVC pipe with holes drilled through the pipe with a green, dark green shining string going through it, but there's wire in front of it, inside of this string. No problem. The only problem, I've given up on the post. He can keep whatever he wants to. I don't care. But, kids ride by the house all the time on bikes. And some poor kid's going to want to take a shortcut through there. They're going to get ripped off the bike. They're going to bust their head. There's going to be a lawsuit. So I don't care about the post. I really don't. I don't care. But please, have them change the wire, because
It's very hard to see.
you can't see it.
Post based so that the car can't get through.
Well, I drove through them. I'm cutting off my nose to spite my face because they let us park in there. But I'll park on the street. I don't care. But I don't want to see a kid laying on the street. I appreciate, I hate to take up your time. I know it's just one little parking lot, but,
What kind of permit? So I'm wondering.
I just don't want to, when you're a kid, you know how you are riding a bike with your buddy, you're not paying attention. And they come by there all the time. All I want them to do is cut it, put something, hang a couple signs on there, Just something that a kid can see, because somebody's going to get hurt and it's going to be a lawsuit. I swear to you. That's all, actually, that's all I want, honestly.
I'll talk to the administrator.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time. Thank you, guys, very much. Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, under other business, we have a approval of a temporary liquor license for the LJCs for the Jour de Fête, August 9th and 10th. All in favor? Opposed? And we also have a approval of a liquor license request from Chalmette Incorporated for 351 St. Mary's Road for the sale of all intoxicating liquor, including Sunday sales. And Mr. Johnson's here tonight if anybody has any questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, anything else from the board? All right.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
That was Joe and Don. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Channel 7 and 98 TV and web broadcasting are made possible through contributions and donations from viewers like you. Thank you for your support.